Hello everyone, this is Linda with Plants for You. Today we're going to do some repotting. We've had a few requests for that. It's going to be a rather long video, so I'm letting you know up front. So for those of you who don't care for long, drawn-out videos, I'll let you know ahead of time. So if you want to pass on this, that's fine. I understand this isn't for everyone, but some people enjoy these, so, and I haven't done one in a while. So today we are going to do some potting up. I wanted to say up front that my grandson was over here, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this in one of my other videos, but my great-grandson was here last weekend, and he helped me. I sat on the porch with a cardboard tray in my lap, and he helped me pot up the rest of the petunias and little flowers that we bought for the front porch, and he just had a ball. And I just found out from his mama that he went home and told her all about it, so that really touched my heart. I was so happy that he connected with nature that way. I mean, he's done that in the past. He's forever picking flowers in my yard and bringing them to me, and pretty stones and just odd little things. That really helps me to know that he's a grounded child. He's a well-grounded, well-rounded little boy, and that makes me happy. He's 4 years old, so, you know, I'm not sure if I'll be around by the time he gets to be a full-grown adult. I hope I am, but like I said, it does my heart good to know that his heart is in the right place at this young age. So, one of the things that I wanted to tell you about here was this plant right here. And I'm going to pull out my phone so that I don't mispronounce it. And I will try to remember to put it up on my screen. This plant I saw on someone's channel, and it looked so beautiful. I just wanted it so bad. And I got it, but it hasn't done a thing. It's been this size since I got it. And I didn't know. I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong. So I did some more research on it and realized that I think she was getting too much light. And that, for this plant, is not the best thing. She doesn't mind bright light, but she also likes shade. It's a very, well, let me give you the, it's Begonia pulchra, otherwise known as the watermelon begonia, but it's, I believe there's more than one that is called watermelon begonia, so you want to make sure that you get the right one if you're looking for this plant. And like I said, I'll try to remember to put that up on the screen. I'm going to move this plant. I had it in my living room. I had it on the table in front of my west window, and can you guys see what I'm doing? So hard for me to see in that light. I think you can. There. Okay, so I'm going to get my trusty green bowl out and start taking the soil out of here. And I'm going to move her to my shelf in my dining room, which you guys will see soon, I hope. I've been wanting to do a full dining room tour since winter, but every time I think I'm ready to do it, something else happens that prevents me from doing it. So, and right now I'm waiting for my husband to get done with my surprise. I don't want to spill the beans on that just yet. And when that happens, then I'll be able to move forward with my dining room. Oh my goodness. This is not good. Oh boy, I'm embarrassed at this. This is a solid block. That should not be, folks. That should not be. Okay, so what I did here is I allowed it to dry out too far. And I think there was too much peat, not enough. Not enough things to break up the soil. But I believe when I bought this that I just took her out of the pot she was in, and I stuck it in the terracotta. I don't think I messed with her roots, so that might be part of the problem. I'm gonna see if I can't break this up a little bit. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm trying to oh, you know what? I've got my overhead light on. That might have been part of the problem. Was it? No. Nope, not for me. Oh well, that's all right. Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm making sure that she's not in one of those mesh plugs. I've had issues with those. I know many of you have. I truly wish the growers would stop using them. Or at least have a tag or a card or some kind of information along with the plant to let people know to check on that, because they're supposed to be biodegradable, but more often than not, they're not degrading. So you don't find out until your plant isn't growing or it's acting up after you've had it a long time and you're wondering, well, what's going on with this plant? I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, but it's not growing and it's declining. And then you take it out of the pot and find that it's being restricted by that mesh bag that was supposed to have disintegrated but didn't. So watch out for those. Okay, I'm not gonna do any more with this because I'm afraid I'm gonna put her in complete and total shock here. I'm just going to get her in a new home. I wonder if I should just put her right back in here. I had a bigger pot for her, but I don't think I want to do that. Oh, well, and that drainage hole isn't doing any good with this on there, is it? My goodness. I'm really slacking, folks. Alright. Yeah, I think we're just going to put her right back in this pot for now. I wanted to try her in a plastic pot, but looking at what I'm looking at here, I'm a little afraid to do that now. I think I'm just going to put it right back in here. We'll give her some fresh soil. My scooper looks dirty because I squirted down my soil reserve here because it was so dry that just sticking my hand on it and moving it a little bit was causing me to cough, and I didn't want to cough in your ear. I know I do that often. So I wet down the soil and I mixed it with this. It got a little lumpy and a little wet, but it's alright. Now we don't want to bury this too deeply. Because I don't want to bury the crown of the plant, because that will cause it to rot. Oh, there. She looks a little... Okay. One of the things that I read on her was that if she'll tolerate putting her in shade with a lot of water or putting her with some with little water, which really confused me, but that's what it said. But like I said, she was doing fine. She just wasn't, you know, she was alive, and there were a few little new leaves on her. I probably neglected the watering again. Gosh, I just got to stop doing that. Okay. These plants don't grow real huge, and they will grow along the ground, of course, in the warmer climates. They won't make it up here in zone 5. So definitely an indoor plant for me. But I'm going to try putting her on I have a corner shelf in my dining room with other plants, which will also help raise the humidity for her. And she does like humidity, so I think we'll see what happens. Just give her a new spot. Sometimes that's all the plant needs. It just, for some reason, whatever atmosphere it's in, it doesn't like it. And I, honestly, sometimes I don't get it because it's really not that big of a difference, but sometimes it doesn't have to be. Now normally, I put my bonite granules in my squirt bottle, but I didn't do that yet. I washed it and I dried it, and I have to make sure it's completely dry before I put this in there, because if I don't, it will clump up. So I'm going to put a little of that in there, and I'm going to put a little worm castings over it. I use worm castings in all of my plants. I used to use it years ago, and it was really a miracle worker, and then I don't know why I got out of the habit of using it. I think I used to buy it at the grocery store, and they stopped carrying it, and I just got out of the habit of it. But I have been using it now again for about a year and a half or so, maybe, and I've really noticed a difference in my plants. So worm castings are good. They're just a natural fertilizer, and they're very gentle, slow releasing. I don't use that in place of my regular fertilizer. I still use my Bonide Captain Jack's fertilizer. And again, I believe that was I think it's the son or relative of Peter's. And Peter's is the one I use all my life. And yes, it's a synthetic, but it worked. It was a great fertilizer. It worked very well. Never burned any of my plants. Never hurt anybody. Loved it. I still do. I've tried other fertilizers, and I had issues with them, so I went back to this. And you know, again, everyone has their own favorite products, and I don't, by the way, get paid to say that. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but I can tell you that the Bonide products are my favorite, and that's the systemic and the dead bug spray and the fertilizer are all made by Bonide, and I love them. So I'm going to stick with them. Okay, I'm going to put this up on that shelf in a minute. Oh, not right now. Let's get it out of the way. And let's do this guy. This is my hubby saw this at Mulliger's. We were walking out the door. It's the polka dot plant. It's called Confetti White. I used to have a pink one, and it grew very big and tall and got kind of leggy in the winter, and it flowered a few times, and then it just started to decline. And you know, I bought it on one of those days where I hadn't been out of the house in probably 2 months, and it was a Friday evening. Paul, my husband, said we're gonna go get something to eat and go to Stein's and get a plant. So we did, and I was so excited to get a new plant, and you know, they didn't have anything. It was cold out. They hadn't had a truck delivery in a while, and so I bought the pink polka dot plant because it caught my eye, and I call it my quote, I'm not going out without a plant, unquote. And I have a few of those, my friends. I'm kind of like a child that way. If you go out to get a plant and they don't have anything, it's really disappointing. And even more so when getting out is very sporadic and difficult. So it's not like I could just hop in the car and go the next day or the next week. So I needed to fix. I hate to put it that way because it sounds like an addiction, and maybe it is. But oh, I want to show you these too while I'm yakking there. My daughter came over to help me the other day repot my burro's tail for the 3rd time. She's growing like crazy. If you want to see her, she's in a lot of my videos. I did not film that because there was just no way to do that. It was a very difficult job to begin with. And we made the mistake of doing it over my soil bin where I keep my soil, right next to me in this black bin. And there's a bunch of these in there. So I'll pick out some of them, but I'm not too worried about it. You know, people might worry that it'll rot, but they're so tiny. I don't think they'll do any damage. And honestly, who knows? Maybe they'll sprout and start growing. This particular burrows tail that I have has grown so fast. And I know that that's not the norm for these plants, so I feel so fortunate that that's happening. And it's so beautiful. Wow. So, now what I'm doing here for those of you who are newbies, if you can see here, I'm squeezing the bottom of the pot just like we do with the outdoor, or any plant actually. Trying not to make too much noise here. I know that's amplified in the camera. Okay. I'm going to take them out. My burrows tail I was telling you about. Yeah, it's a really fast grower, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy to have that plant. But the last time we repotted her, once we got her in the pot, and we both hit a sigh of relief, we got her down in there. I said, you know what, we should have went with that bigger pot. But we were exhausted by that time, and so happy just to have her in there without losing too much of the longer trails. And I'm gonna say, I don't think it's been 2 months. And I said to my daughter, I really need your help. I gotta do this again. This plant's gonna die in here. I was watering it twice a day, and it was still drying out, so I knew I had to get into a bigger pot. I'm going to just leave these here for now. So, you know, I don't know what to say about that, other than if you have that plant and you have to go through the trouble of repotting it, go a little bit bigger than what you think you're going to need, because if yours grows anything like mine did, oh my goodness, it's going to outgrow it very quickly. Okay. I probably could have used a bigger pot for this one. How many we have here? 2? And maybe we'll make it. I think this will work for now. We may end up having to repot this not too long down the road, but that's alright. I really like to pot plants, so I don't mind. I do mind when it's the burrows tail though, because that is a bear. And I did lose some pieces, but they didn't go to waste. I put some in the pot that I was potting up for my daughter, and I also have another one started for myself, just to be on the safe side. So I stuck the extra pieces in those 2 pots. So they didn't go to waste. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think I could have used a bigger pot. Oh, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, I don't think I explained the bonite granules. I put those in there as a preventative now because if there is any larvae, any eggs in the soil of any kind of pest, it will get rid of them before they hatch. And with all the problems I've been having lately, I'm not taking any chances. I know some people don't like to use it because it's a systemic, but if it's that or lose my plant collection, then I have to weigh it out, right? Okay. That's also why when I take the the old soil off of a plant that I get at a nursery or a store, or from anywhere for that matter, when I bring a new plant into the house, I empty the soil in my green. That's why I'm using this green container. And then my husband dumps that on the burn pile outside because if there is anything in there, I don't want it hatching in the house, and I don't want it to get on my plants outside either. So he takes care of that part for me. Oh, sometimes it's nice just to have a peaceful, quiet day. And I really debated whether or not to do this on video just because it can be, the angle can be challenging for me, and once in a great while, I just want to be alone with my plants, my babies. And sometimes it's hard to get the right angle here for you guys. I've seen some of my videos during the editing process, and I got frustrated with myself because I was like, geez, Linda, you're not even within the view of the camera. And that has gotten even more difficult since I started using the ring light, because in order for me to see if you can see, the ring light has to be behind the camera, and I'm looking in my flip lens, you know, the viewfinder, and I'm staring right at that light. And it's especially hard right now because I just had cataract surgery, and that bright light is really hard on the eyes. So like I said, initially I was going to do this off camera, but I realized I hadn't done a repotting video in a while, and I know that a few of you have requested that, so I want to make everybody happy. And especially those of you that keep coming back, my loyal viewers and commenters, and it's so nice of you that you take the time to comment and show an interest, because it encourages me to continue. Okay. How's that? I think she looks pretty good. She's pretty, isn't she? White confetti. Confetti white. Now she does like bright light, so I'm going to have to get her either under the Mars Hydrolite, or I'm going to have to get her in a south window. And I think probably put her in the south window for now until we figure out what's going on with those carpenter ants up there. Yeah, we found those yesterday, so I did a video earlier today on that, if you're interested. So, okay. What do you think? I think she looks pretty good. She's pretty. My husband seems to be drawn to these dark green with the white. I have a zebra plant that is his, that I take care of. And he made a comment about it the other day because it's gotten really tall and I had to actually stake her up. And he said something. And I kind of growled at him. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "She's a diva." I said, "I don't know what she wants. One day she wants more water, then she doesn't, and she wants more light, then she doesn't." And he just laughed. "Well, you must be doing something right. She looks happy to me." Well, yeah, but it's so much effort. And I panic if she droops or if anything, I see a brown edge on the leaf because I don't want to hurt his plant. And there were days when I thought, I'm just going to, next time when he comes home from work, I'm going to set that in his lap and say, "Here, she's all yours." No, I wouldn't really do that, but there's days when I thought about it. Okay. Enough about that. All right, now let's work on this guy. These are the spider plants that I cut off my mother plant. And I've had them in water here now for probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks now. Time flies. Up till now, my granddaughter didn't care for these. But she is pregnant, and she said she's nesting early. And I took that to mean she wants more babies right away, so okay. I'll plant some up. I asked her just out of curiosity because I had given her another plant that, well, that's another story, but we'll talk about that a different time. Anyway, so after she left, I said, "Are you sure you don't want a spider plant?" She said, "Well, I don't know, Grandma. I forgot which one that was. Can you send me a picture?" I said, "Sure can." So I sent her a picture, and she was excited to get it. So I was very happy because I already have too many spider plants, and I didn't know what to do with these. I tried to give them away. Someone that my daughter knew from one of her sites on social networking was looking specifically for spider plants. And I said, yes, I got a whole bunch. I can pot them up for her if she needs me to. And she wanted some other, there was something else she was looking for that I also had. And she was going to come and pick it up, or my daughter was going to get it for her. I don't remember, but anyway, I said, have her call me. Boy, I don't know, this might be too deep here. I said, have her text me or email me or call me or something, and she said, okay, Mom, I'll let her know what she did. And the girl got back to her and said, oh, okay, I'll text her later. And we didn't hear from her. And about a week or two went by, and I said, what is your friend going to do? Does she want me to pot these up for her, or what's happening? And she didn't get any response, so I don't know what happened there, but I can't wait anymore. I don't really have room to keep these, and they got to get out of the water, so I'm giving them to my granddaughter. And if she ends up coming back and wanting some, I get plenty babies from my mother plants, so I can always give her some of those. But as you can see, these are, they're starting to grow together. The roots are, look at that. So I definitely needed to get them out of here. So that's what we're going to do. I already waited too long. Look at that. And we got a little soggy dead stuff going on there. We want to get that off of there. You don't want to put that in the pot, folks, because that will cause all kinds of issues for you down the road. Spider plant is a very easy plant to grow. I've always grown mine in my east window, no matter where I lived, and that's where they like it the best. If I try to move it, they start to decline. And I'm not saying you absolutely have to do that. I'm just saying that's what worked for me. I'm going to cut this. Because if I put this in here to get this root under the soil, this part, you see how that's on an angle? Really need to cut this apart. Oh, maybe I can pull it apart. Well, I did two things wrong initially. I let these babies get too long before I cut them off of the mother plant, and then I left them in the soil too long. I mean, in the water too long. And it's all right. They'll be okay. It just makes it a lot more difficult to plant them up. And in general, plants need a little time to adjust from water roots to soil roots because they don't take up the moisture the same exact way of the two methods. So the less amount of stress, the better. And I don't even think we're going to fit all these in this pot. No. No way. Okay, well, let's stick this back in the water. And we'll do a few in here. There's 3 here, but I'm going to put these all together. You see those? They all got nice roots. I'm going to put them all in the same, at the same depth as far as the crown is concerned. Now when you water these plants, the best way I find is to let them dry out, because they have very thick roots. When the plants get bigger, they're like tuberous roots. I don't think they're actual tubers, but they're a lot like them. I'm not really sure. I'd have to look that up to let you know for sure. But I do know that they get tuberous like, and those roots hold water. So even if your soil is dry, you stick your finger down in there and the soil feels dry, but you may have a lot of water still being held in those roots. And if you go ahead and water your plant, you could overwater it very easily. The worst that can happen if you underwater these is they get kind of droopy. They will fade in color. The dark green will get a lighter green, almost white if they're too dry. And, or the tips will do this. If you can see that. They get brown tips. And when that happens, I just take and snip it. This is hard to do from this angle. But I try to, whenever I'm cutting the tip off of a plant, if it has a pointed end, which most plants do, I try to make it, I want to cut it that way. Then that way it doesn't really look like it's been cut. It looks more natural, as opposed to just cutting it straight across. Alright, I think this is the last one I'm going to put in here. I think we're probably getting kind of long on this video, even for me. And that's kind of another thing when you make long videos, is it takes that much longer to edit them. And I'm not always able to do that, so I've been trying to do shorter videos so I can do them more often. But I'm happy I did this today. I hope you guys are too. Alright. Maybe we could fit one more in here yet, I think. Oh yeah, we got a big hole here. Now this is one way to propagate them. The babies, I have found, although they produce babies all year round, the bulk of my babies come in the fall. And I'm not quite sure why that is. If it's the change in the lighting, you know, when the sun comes up versus winter or summer. I don't know, but I have a spider plant like this one that is, it's 40 some years old. I believe it's 42, 43, somewhere in there. I always have to stop and count back, but suffice it to say it's 40 some years old. And I used to have a whole bunch of babies from that on my patio door that we used to have. And when we tore that door off and opened that wall up to add this room on, I had to get rid of some of them. So I gave some away and to friends and family. But I kept my original one that I got from a friend of mine. And all of my spider plants have come from that one plant. And like I said, she's 40 some years old, so I gotta think I'm doing something right, or she wouldn't have lived that long and made it through all our moving and remodeling and what have you. But she did. Okay. So, last but not least, and I'm not going to do this, I'll do this other one off camera because we're getting kind of long now. Propagation, as you can see, you can cut the babies off that are hanging down, and you can do one of two things with those. You can either take them out, well actually you can do three things. Even if it doesn't have any roots on it, when you take that baby off the plant, let me use a smaller one here. Even if it doesn't have these roots on it, you can still put it in soil, keep it watered, and it will root on its own. Or, if you're too afraid to do that, leave it attached to the mother. It'll have a long stem coming out the top. And then just stick this part back in this pot, or in a pot next to it. And if you leave it attached to the mother will continue to feed it and you know, food and water until she establishes roots. So either way, I've done it both ways, and in fact I think most of the time I do it without leaving it connected to the mother. But that does help. It does help. So you can do that, or you can snip it off, stick it in a separate pot of soil, or snip it off and put it in some water. It's really up to you. So she's easy to propagate. She's pretty fast growing. She's fun to have around. I think the spider plant is very underrated. I truly do. She's such a cheerful looking plant. She's a beautiful color. She's just one of those plants that when you look at her, it makes you smile. All right. I'm going to put a little bonite and a little worm castings. And I am going to give her a little bit of a drink. Okay. And when you do water her, she does like a thorough watering, but like I said, don't do it too often. Better to underwater, because the worst that can happen is you'll get a few little brown tips that you can always cut off, like this one. But don't, if you overwater her, you almost can never bring her back. Because by the time she shows the damage, usually too late. So be very careful with your watering, okay? That's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to clean up my mess and get this downloaded for you. And well, you can't even see the top of that, can you? My goodness. Well, I hope I didn't do all that for nothing. I hope you could see what I was doing. I did my best. Okay. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for coming. Bye now.